The Cuban Missile Crisis, the fight of three nations. What led up to the Cuban Missile Crisis was the Bay of Pigs. It was an operation to throw Fidel Castro out of his power by the Central Intelligence Agency, other known as the CIA. The CIA thought that Fidel was not doing a good job, and they tried to throw Fidel Castro out of his power, but it failed miserably. After that, and a couple of months later, Fidel Castro and Nita Kuskiv had a meeting for the arming of nuclear missiles on the island of Cuba, and Nita Kuskiv told Fidel Castro they were for protection. After the meeting, Fidel told the citizens of Cuba that they finally have protection from any more invasions of the United States of America. The citizens of Cuba were happy that they finally have protection. During the constructions of the nuclear missiles on October 15, 1962, a spy plane took the first pictures of the construction of missiles. John F. Kennedy met with the leaders of the four forces to arrange a plan to stop Fidel from starting a nuclear war. The officers of the Navy and Air Force told John F. Kennedy that the Navy and the Air Force could make a blockade. John F. Kennedy announced to the citizens of the United States of America the plan and why they should stop it, and why it was a good idea to stop it and use them. The citizens of the United States of America were worried that maybe they would die at the end. The blockade was a 14-day effort to stop the cargo Soviet ships carrying the nuclear missiles. During the 14-day blockade, the Soviet Union ordered to shoot if the United States of America attacked them. One of the Soviet submarines was nuclear armed and shot at one of the destroyers, and it missed. The submarine, the United States was trying to make the submarine surface. And meanwhile, on the island of Cuba had all the men ready for a war in case of the United States started attacking. The submarine, John F. Kennedy and Nita Kuskiv agreed to, after a conference, John F. Kennedy sent one of his men to the World Nations Center, and then he sent the order, and the guy told him that John F. Kennedy wanted the missile scrapped for the USA, and the man for Russia told them they had to dismantle theirs in Turkey too. After that meeting of the World Nations, John F. Kennedy and Nita Kuskiv got together and arranged and agreed to dismantle their nuclear weapons in Cuba for the Soviet in Cuba, and John F. Kennedy agreed with Nita Kuskiv to dismantle the missiles in Turkey that were a threat to the USSR.
And authorities assembled thousands in cities and villages for patriotic rallies. As in the past, these rallies are designed to whip up hate of what Castro calls Yankee imperialistic warmongers. To suggestions that a UN team inspect missile sites, Castro said that they had better come ready for combat. He went on to call President Kennedy a pirate for setting up the quarantine. The United States arrived at the decision for an arms blockade after studying reconnaissance photographs made with high-powered cameras from planes flying several miles from the Cuban coast. These cameras are described as capable of spotting a golf ball on a putting green from 40,000 feet. Literally thousands of pictures can be made on each flight by these planes, and they are studied by photo interpreters who are capable of analyzing details that an untrained eye would miss. Here, for example, is a medium-range ballistic missile base that has been labeled by these specialists. Suddenly, the veil is torn from the Russian secrets. Another photo revealed a surface-to-air missile assembly depot, a base to supply the offensive sites. Russian technicians ripped through heavy jungle growth to carve out airstrips for high-performance MiG-21 jets, a plane easily capable of strikes far into the United States. In the greatest display of hemisphere solidarity since World War II, the Organization of American States unanimously endorses the actions of the United States, and many pledge arms and men to the cause. The vote is 20-0, with Cuba absent, commending the U.S. for its efforts to bring about the dismantling of the missile bases. The organization votes the use of armed force to carry out the resolution sponsored by Secretary of State Dean Rusk, thus uniting all of the Americas in a common cause. Meanwhile, the United States continues to reinforce its Cuban base at Guantanamo Bay, the naval depot that Castro wants the U.S. to give up. These Marines have been assigned the job of protecting the base against any Cuban threats that might arise during the present crisis. They'll be on a 24-hour alert, a first line of defense. The United States went to the UN Security Council for a resolution calling for a withdrawal of all offensive weapons from Cuba. A delegation from the island heard adjutant call on both sides for a 3-week freeze, but the Secretary General was told that President Kennedy wants the missiles scrapped first. Valerian A. Zorin's boss, Khrushchev, proposed that the U.S. withdraw its vessels and he would stop shipments. President Kennedy's missile scrapping demand was his reply. The U.S. resolution was firm and strongly worded.
Mr. President, I am submitting today a resolution to the Security Council designed to find a way out of this calamitous situation. This resolution calls, as an interim measure under Article 40 of the Charter, for the immediate dismantling and withdrawal from Cuba of all missile and other offensive weapons. It further authorizes and requests the Acting Secretary General to dispatch to Cuba a United Nations Observer Corps to assure and report on compliance with this resolution. Upon UN certification of compliance, it calls for the termination of the measures of quarantine against military shipments to Cuba. And in conclusion, it urgently recommends that the United States and the Soviet Union confer promptly on measures to remove the existing threat to the security of the Western Hemisphere and the peace of the world, and to report thereon to the Security Council.